What you folks are looking at here is the immediate aftermath of the collision of the Mount Sanchi and the motor vehicle CF Crystal. Now, I cannot say with any certainty that the fact that we have two vessels, cargo vessels, both with the name of Crystal, involved in collisions in basically the same area of the world that have resulted in the loss of life, more than likely here, since most of the crew of the tanker is unaccounted for, is anything other than a coincidence. It seems damn strange. I mean, it really does. It seems incredibly odd. And the oddest thing about this is that this is the tanker. Cargo vessel sailed away. Is up off the coast of Japan at the moment. It did this to the tanker, and it's still burning. Even in the moonlight hour, or excuse me, morning hours. But the cargo vessel's fine. Now, just in case anybody wants a reference, this is where this allegedly occurred. The tanker was going from Iran to South Korea, delivering jet fuel. It was carrying condensate. And the cargo vessel was coming from the United States, delivering grain to China. There's enough right there to point to one actor in this. I mean, who wouldn't want Iranian jet fuel to end up in South Korea? I think we all know the answer to that. Now, they've talked about this new Bermuda Triangle in this article, and they're referencing the Champlain, the Fitzgerald, the McCain, and this, in this strange triangle, this strange area. You know, I had made the allegation that this had all gone away. Apparently not. Apparently there might just be a new take on how they're going to affect this. You know, last summer it was Navy vessels that strangely had lost their ability to keep from hitting other vessels, and now we show two cargo vessels that, I mean, in giant cargo vessels, these tanker ships. If anybody remembers the coverage we did on the MV Ottawa that hit the Porter in 2012, these things, I mean, cargo ships are big, don't get me wrong, but the tanker ships are 3, 4, 5 times the size. You know, they're 3 times as long and 5 times as heavy as ships like the Crystal, both. Now the CF Crystal and the ACX Crystal that have both been now involved in these kinds of accidents in the same region. So there's not a whole lot out there, but I do find something else here strange. Let's see if I can pull it up. Here's the Sanchi, and I've checked this out on Vessel Finder and Marine Traffic both. She turned off her AIS just after passing Taiwan. Almost 500 miles from her destination, there is no AIS data. And I even signed up for the pay version of Marine Traffic to see if I could get real time, and there's nothing. So just to give you an idea, here's the ships. Here's the Crystal, the CF Crystal, and it's, you know, basically your standard run-of-the-mill cargo vessel. The nose of this vessel is a little more blunted than the ACX Crystal was. There's no real stem. It's very rounded. And here's the tanker Sanchi. And this is about as close as you can get to get the thing in one picture. It's an enormous, enormous vessel. And it was full of this stuff called condensate. It's a really light crude, a kerosene-style jet fuel-based product. Strangely enough, it was only a couple years ago that the U.S. lifted its ban on exporting this stuff. Yeah, since '73, there had been a ban since the oil embargo. that we didn't export this other than to Canada. And in one of the last things that was done by the prior administration, they lifted this ban, and we've been able to export this. So jet fuel bound for South Korea has been intercepted by a ship called the Crystal and stopped this ship dead in its tracks. It caused a fire, and this thing will end up sinking, I'm positive. And I would be very shocked if they're saying that 30 of the 32 people aboard were Iranians, and they don't have any information, at least not at the time of me making this video, the dispensation of those 32 people, but I am sure they're dead. And they're not going to find anything, because that thing's going to burn for quite a long time. It has a 1.26 million, let's see if I can get this right, 1.26 million barrels aboard. And to put that in context, I think they said in the Exxon Valdez spill, 260,000 barrels spilled in that accident. And so we're looking at something roughly 5 times the size of the Exxon Valdez spill, possibly here, burning off and spilling into the ocean. And I wish I would have brought up the tab that covered that, and, well, maybe it did here. But the size of the oil slick spilling from the Sanchi is not currently known, but they do know what was aboard the vessel. Here it was. Sanchi was carrying 150,000 tons, or nearly 1 million barrels of condensate. And there was another article that I had read, I guess I didn't bring it up, that was talking about the Exxon Valdez in comparison. So that's why they're calling this the, I guess 30 Iranians and 2 Bangladeshis. They did at least identify who was on board. All 21 Chinese crew members of the Crystal, which was carrying grain from the U.S., have been rescued. Well, that's interesting, because the AS tracker showed it up off Japan. Maybe it had turned off its AS too. Maybe that's where it was before this. So this is what happens when you don't do your research properly. So, tanker rented by a South Korean company. So it's a very, very strange coincidence here, folks. I'm going to look more into it, but I cannot imagine how. I mean, I know accidents happen all the time, but my goodness, they have the same name in the same area, and just so happen to be carrying jet fuel to South Korea. I just find all of this very, very, very uncoincidental, as do most of you. So we will look at this and see what comes of it. But I just wanted to say thank you again to everyone for all the support. We were going to do today's video on something going on in Venezuela, just to give you guys a heads up. They have issued the first million petros, cryptocurrency. Maduro has. And it's going to make a very big difference. We finally have a major government that is backing a cryptocurrency. Apparently a petro is now going to be worth 1 barrel of oil in Venezuela. So that's going to be a problem, because with the U.S. now losing its ability to influence anyone in this hemisphere to do anything, there's going to be other people step in, and we've already seen it with the Russians. I mean, we've threatened to send jets down and invade and all that, but you have to think risk-reward on that. That'll never work. I mean, if we're making the allegation that the reason we want to depose Maduro is because of the suffering of the people, and we start sending jets over there and lighting off bombs, I mean, that's not going to fly. Pardon the pun, but it's just not going to happen. So, sanctions don't work. No military intervention. What's next? So, anyway, thank you so much again. I really appreciate everyone. We will keep an eye on this. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thank you.